It's the HoopWise podcast from New England Basketball Journal, a comprehensive look at the basketball landscape in New England, tracking prospects, recruiting, college, and more, with your hosts, Steve Hewitt and Ethan Fuller.
And welcome back to another episode of the HoopWise podcast. We are part of New England Basketball Journal. I'm Ethan Fuller, joined as always by Steve Hewitt. Kind of in the trenches right now. January basketball is rolling. We have been at a lot recently. It was a big week for us to talk about some basketball we've seen. Different tournament than usual. We got a lot to unpack. Just generally. Steve, how you doing?
I'm good, man. Final stretch is here, man. We got Hoophall's behind us. February's right around the corner here.
I consider
it's like almost March. Like, where's the time gone? But
the season's going faster. I consider Hoophall like the kind of halfway point of the winter season, and we just hit it. We're working on mid-season reports. With MIAA out for boys and girls. NEPSAC girls are out. NEPSAC boys coming soon. So on all those on our site and on our platforms. But we should probably start with Hoophall because I was hyping it up on our last episode. Now we have something to talk about. It lived up to the hype as it always does. Steve, that was your first one. So can you just talk about it?
Yeah. We survived the snowstorm on Sunday night.
Yeah, we did. Barely.
We had a little bonding experience together trying to, well, you shoveled the car out while I got toasty in the car, but
you earned it.
Yeah. No. No, it was a fun weekend. I mean, for transparency's sake, I was down the road at AIC for the Hoophall Prep Showcase for most of it. And then I kind of cheated and tried to just hit the big games at Hoophall Classic at Springfield College. But I had a lot of fun. The games were kind of duds overall.
You had bad luck. I had some bad luck because I watched some awesome games, but a lot of the big ones were blowouts. And
obviously the main event was AJ DeBanza on Sunday night, returning home for the last time in high school to play with his Utah prep team to play against Montbird, and that got out of hand very quickly.
Yep,
I think it was like 42-15 at halftime. Is that
correct? Mm-hmm.
They made it a game. I think they got it to single digits at one point in the fourth quarter, right?
Mm-hmm.
But a little disappointing. I was expecting maybe more of a show. DeBanza, I think, tried to play up the crowd a little bit, playing some one-on-one ball, but he had some good shots. He played well in the loss, but no, I had fun. You were right. I think you made a point. Like, people don't go to Hoophall like if you're a casual basketball fan.
Mm-hmm.
And I could definitely sense that because there wasn't like a ton of like. And I mean, you've done this before where this what your fourth one, and most of these teams are coming from out of the region, and they're not going to have the fan support for each specific team throughout the weekend or anything. But it's really just like basketball heads who just want to see a glimpse of like the next stars. And I'm happy. I got to see AJ. I got to see Darren Peterson, who I hadn't seen before. Tyron Stokes, the Boozer Twins. Boozer Twins were great all weekend. I didn't get a chance to see Koa Pete, so I'll have to try to see him in college or if he makes the NBA one day. But the crowds are good, and it was funny. What team's Bryce James play for again?
Sierra Canyon. Yep,
Sierra Canyon. Whenever he touched the ball, he got cheered, and the crowd was going crazy. Obviously, the son of LeBron James, and that was fun. He got MVP, well deserved. He had 16 points.
Yeah,
16 or 17 points. He had like 4 threes.
Yep.
He delivered. He delivered for the fans.
Yeah, that was the best James performance I've ever seen there. It was great.
Yeah, was Bronny's not a great performance?
No, I mean, he just like I think that the times I went, he was a freshman, so he didn't play a whole lot. He came off the bench, and then senior, and he's just never been like a score first type of player. Like he's passing, he's defense, and that was always great. But I don't think I don't know if he ever even scored double digits at Hoophall. So this was like
interesting.
The Bryce catch fire, the crowd was into it, and yeah, like you said, I think one of the coolest things about this is the crowds you don't cheer for a side really. You just cheer for
big plays,
cool plays. If a player's getting hot, you like jump on the bandwagon. Doesn't matter what team they're on. And so like you kind of saw that even with some of the other players over the course of the weekend. Like if someone started playing well, whether they were a top 5 prospect or like a 3-star recruit, like people got behind them if they saw that you were getting buckets. And I think that's what kind of makes it so much fun. There's no booing at the free throw line. I mean, there's no booing ever except when Bryce James subbed out. And it's just such a totally different type of basketball experience and a really, really cool one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's like an intimate experience too, because you're in this D3 gym in Springfield.
Tiny. Yeah.
It's tiny. There's only bleachers on the 2 end lines, not the baselines. And it gets packed. Obviously, I think some of the late games, people kind of left because of the snow, and it looked like some of the early day games, like in the 11 a.m., like the Brewster games that I saw were a little like half full, and that's to be expected. It's like
it was tough for the weather. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it's cool how I don't know how good Springfield College is, but it's probably one of a handful of times a year that the seats actually get kind of full like that for games. And so that's cool to see. It makes for like a fun environment. Like I think I told you, like you have the Mass Mutual Center right down the street. If they moved it to there, and I'm sure they could fill that place out, maybe probably get at least
they get a good crowd for
but it wouldn't be the same because it's not as intimate. It's not as much of a closed space. It's like more of an arena there. So so I hope it never changes. I hope they keep it at Springfield College for forever.
Yeah. No, I like it. I like it a lot. It's such a cool just situation.
But so I guess you were there Saturday, Sunday, Monday, all 3 days. You watched pretty much every game those days, I think, right?
Most. I missed some of the very first morning games and some of the very last late games.
Yeah.
But yeah, the vast majority I was able to get to.
Yeah. And if our listeners go on basketballjournal.com, you can see your coverage, all your standouts, and some local stories too. I guess, what are maybe 1 or 2 things that stood out for you?
So I'll hit, like, as far as the local angle goes, Brewster Academy, a rare chance for us to really see them, unless you want to go up to Wolfboro and watch them. Their road games are pretty much out of state. So this was a good chance for the rest of New England to kind of see them. And they delivered. I mean, there's a real case that they're the best high school basketball team in the country right now, which is kind of crazy. They're atop the EYBL Scholastic standings. I believe even this past weekend, I think they won a couple more games. But as far as Hoophall goes,
it'd be a link.
Yep, that was crazy. But at Hoophall, they beat IMG Academy, another top 5 team in the country, just basketball factory there. They won that game. Really great game on Saturday. Then basically 24 hours later, they go out and beat Oak Hill, another kind of just assumed basketball powerhouse. And Brewster takes care of business against both. 2 good games. You had Sebastian Wilkins, again, local guy, Canton, Massachusetts. He played really well.
He is blowing up right now.
Yeah, he is.
Not to interrupt, but
no, you're exactly right. He's pretty consensus, I would say, like top 50 at least, if not like top 40 prospect in the 26 class at this point.
I think he got up. I think it's 31 now for
31
him on the 24/7 rankings that came out last week, and
okay,
we'll get to more of that later on. But yeah, he's moving up. He's climbing up.
He had a 22-8 against Oak Hill. Just super versatile, does a little bit of everything, is like the closest thing they have to a center, even though he's really like a 3 or a 4. But just kind of does a bit of everything, hits some big shots. You can say the same about Preston Fowler, who had 17-15 in the game against IMG. again, they don't really have like a bruising large rebounder. And so he did that in both games, hit some big shots too against Oak Hill. Then, I mean, just the 4 New Englanders too. You had Antonio Pemberton off the bench. He was sneaky very good in the second game. Really enjoyed watching him. Abuka Okori is actually their leading scorer on the EYBL circuit, which I didn't realize. And he was like solid.
He's awesome, man.
Yeah, he's really fun. Gets the basket really easily, makes a lot of smart decisions. I liked Killian Torre too, was also really good in some of the games I watched. They're just
you might be their best player.
He was really good. They're just like a really balanced, versatile, deep team. And again, like they don't, especially with Dwayne Aristode out, they don't have like that top 10, guy that everyone's coming to see, but they're good. So
what's about to say? Like they're doing all this without Dwayne Aristode, who's probably their best player going to Arizona. I think he was ranked top 15, top 20 at least.
Yeah.
I think he's gone down a little bit just because he hasn't played. So not real, no discredit to him because I think he's still going to be a great player when he moves on to college. But to do that, to do all this without him, that's impressive. So
yeah, it's amazing. So yeah, Brewster's one, and then I don't know, just generally the talent. You mentioned Devonsa, even like he didn't really play a super great game, but he still ended up with 25 points, and you saw the explosiveness and just like sheer athletic gifts and aggressiveness that makes him the best high school player in the country.
Yeah.
Darren Peterson was awesome too. Just like one of probably the most, I don't know, easiest natural athlete that we saw there. He's just like floating up to the rim on these dunks. It's crazy. And then the Boozers, as you mentioned, Cameron dominates this. I've watched him, I think, 3 times now at Hoophall, and he, since sophomore year, he just absolutely dominates this tournament every single year. He averaged like 28.5 points, I think, in their 2 games, and it's just like such a polished player. There's not a single thing that he does badly, and there are a lot of things. Like he's not a jack of all trades, master of none type of thing. He's really good at a lot of stuff too. And then I do want to shout out the girls too. I missed Kalina Smith on Friday, and I was so like no regrets because I wanted to go to Tabor.
You had a good reason for it.
Yeah. I just wish that game was on a different day because she's next up. And so she had 26 and 12. I missed that. I was bummed, but a lot of the girls showed out too, and I will always advocate for putting them in better time slots than they get. They had Etiwanda, California, which is a powerhouse play, Incarnate Word, which had the longest longest win streak in girls high school basketball history in the entire country. They had that game at 9 a.m. I was a little annoyed by that. But Etiwanda snapped the
too early, man.
Yeah,
too early.
I think they should have put that in a primetime slot. Etiwanda snapped the win streak, 141 games in a great game. Both teams were really awesome. And for you UConn, I don't know how many UConn fans we got listening to this, but Khalees Fisher, high school senior point guard UConn commit, keep an eye out for her because she was awesome for IMG when they won their game. But yeah, it was just, I don't know, it's just so loaded with talent. It's really fun.
Yeah. Should we go to prep showcase?
Yeah, let me switch this to you because I did not get to the prep showcase at all. This was kind of your world. So tell me about it. I've never been.
The real hoop heads were at Hoophall Showcase. All such. Not as star power. I mean, there's some stars, but the bleachers were not as full. To be expected. Like it's hard to have because there's actually 3 events. There was also the Hoophall Invitational.
Yes.
Next door to the Hoophall Classic, right? And neither of us, I don't think, got a chance to go in there.
No, that was a little less. I think a lot of them were Publix, but not all necessarily like from this region. So it was a little bit less relevant to us, but there were some good teams there too. Yeah.
I think the Nobles boys were there on one day, but kind of impossible. It is not kind of, it is impossible to see everything.
Yeah.
When you're there. But I had a good time at the prep showcase. Like the classic, not a lot of like great, like down to the wire, like kind of games. Like Williston, had probably the best game I saw where they came down, and I wrote about this last week. If you saw my takeaways, they were down 9 with less than 4 minutes to go, and furious comeback to win it over this, I forget what team they're called. It's like some team in Virginia. But Ashton Reynolds, we've talked a lot about him.
Yeah, he's hype is building with him.
Yeah, we talked about him obviously with Wilson coach Ben Farmer, who we had on the pod recently. He went off 12 points in the last 4 minutes. And he had to battle through some adversity in this game because he got into some foul trouble. He picked up his fourth like early in the second half and then sat for a little while. And that's probably why the game kind of started slipping away. He tweaked his ankle at one point too. So he was dealing with that. But it didn't matter because he just like put on a show in the last couple minutes. He had a crazy dunk that brought him within like 3 or 4, I think. And then obviously the play of the game was the 3-pointer off his second chance. He was wide open on the wing and just drilled it. Just had the poise and confidence to just go up with it. And they were down 2. They didn't need a 3, but it was wide open. He's confident, and that's a big thing for him because I think something we talked about with Ben is his 3-point shooting isn't probably where maybe some colleges want it to be yet. Just hasn't had the reps or hasn't shown it as much, but he went 4 for 4 from 3 in this game.
Wow.
He's got a good looking stroke. So there's a lot to work with there. And obviously he does so many other things, defending and jumps out of the gym at 6'3". And yeah, we've talked enough about Ashton, but that was like really, really impressive stuff to kind of just will them to a victory and kind of shows what he can do at the next level. So I don't know what colleges have tapped in yet on Ashton, but I think he's going to be just fine.
Yeah.
The first game on Saturday, we'll get into Worcester Academy. The first game I got to, so I drove out Saturday, and that was like the first game that I really wanted to see. They played Blair Academy. Got there right in time. We hit a little bit of traffic out getting out there, but made it in time for Worcester Blair.
Okay.
And, they ended up winning by 4, but first half was dominant. They were by like 24 in the first half. And it was our boy Amir Jenkins' show, man.
Yeah. Talk about like biggest rising name in this area. He's catching fire.
He is the story of New England right now. I'm sure some of our listeners have heard. He is now nationally ranked by 24/7 at least in their rankings. We'll see what the other sites have him at when they release. I don't know when these sites decide they want to release new rankings, and kind of seems a little random, but he is at 99 in the 24/7 Sports latest update. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that he just outplayed a top 25 player at Hoophall, Darrow Rippey Jr., who, I mean, it's one game, obviously. We don't want to glean a ton from that, but it is significant on that kind of stage to play that well against a peer that all the high majors are after, and Rippey's already was a 4-star, and Amir goes off for 31 points and 5 assists, which is must be becoming like commonplace for him. I feel like every time I see a Worcester Academy box score, he's going off for like 25 points at least. But yeah, he does everything and playmaking and gets to the rim so easily, and his shot is coming along. I think he hit 1 3-pointer in that game, and it was like kind of a transition 3 where he pulled up, and I told him after the game, I feel like that takes a lot of confidence to do that, to just pull up in transition. And maybe it's not the greatest shot in the world, but you're gonna have some confidence in your shot to be able to take that. And I think his shot's getting there, and I think he hit 4 threes in a game last week. So yeah, if you're not already on the Amir Jenkins bandwagon, it's time right now. I think he's going to have such a huge summer with BABC. He already has the Providence offer. He actually got a San Diego offer after this game against Blair.
Wow.
And I think he's just going to keep blowing up and keep soaring. And I think 99 in the national rankings is just the beginning for him. And you can say what you want about rankings, but significant. I asked him after that Blair game, like if national rankings meant something to him, and he's like, it's not something I focus on, but ever since I was a little kid, I've always dreamed of doing that. So that's significant for him to be kind of in that public national eye now. And if he's already sort of being a chased player and sort of a hunted player by other peers in the area for his already impressive resume, like he's only going to continue to kind of be that kind of guy that people kind of aspire to challenge against around here. I think he's one of the sort of establishing himself now as the best point guard in New England. So we'll see how he kind of deals with that. And I feel like there's like almost like a not a fork in the road, but like once you become ranked, like how does that fuel you? Like, do you become sort of like, okay, I'm ranked now, and like all the schools are going to come to me, like I'm all set now, or is that kind of fuel you to become that much better and want to keep rising up those rankings? So I'm like kind of curious. I think Amir is in the mold where it's just going to keep fueling him. So yeah, that was fun to watch. If you read my story on basketballjournal.com from last week, fun little nickname within the Worcester Academy locker room, the Wolf of Worcester Academy.
I thought this was awesome.
I was talking to head coach Jamie Sullivan after their win against Blair, and he's like, just kind of out of the blue, he's like, Amir's not a dog, he's a wolf. I'm like, okay. And I forget which teammate kind of walked out of the locker room, and Jamie was like, what is Amir? And he's like, a wolf. And he like came up to my phone and like said it into the microphone. I'm like, okay, this is like a thing within their team. And Amir loves it. I know his teammates love it. It kind of fits him. Like the quote was like, Amir's a wolf, he eats dogs. Peyton Kamen was like, said it was he eats sheep. I got to get to the bottom of that and what it actually,
he's eating,
yeah, I think the point of it is he's eating, and he's eating the prey on the court. I don't know.
Okay. No, I think that's cool. It's cool that he, again, for being a transfer, like he's already has all this notoriety on this team. And this is a team that we've talked about on the side too, that just Worcester Academy's kind of exceeded expectations this year with just like the amount of change they've had to go through. So just like generally, what have you noticed from them?
Yeah. I think some people will probably maybe discredit that win against Blair because Blair was up without their star center. What's his name again? Sorry. I can't pronounce this kid's name. Mayo Soyoy. On Blair, he's getting like high major interest. I've seen him a few times. He's really good.
Okay.
But they were also, Worcester was also without Connor Swider, Jake Blackburn in that game, one of their best shooters, two of their best shooters, Swider too, and Anthony DeJohn, who's also a big contributor for them. So they only actually rolled with like 7 guys in that game, and still eked it out. Had to hold off a late charge. Obviously, like I said, they were up by 24, and I think Blair cut it to like 3 or 4 late. But yeah, I feel like Worcester is still kind of a sleeper a little bit. Like if you look at the standings, they're 9-1 Class AA right now. I think I want to say 14-3 overall. And if you look at the schedule, like I don't want to discredit Worcester. Like I think they're really good. Like Amir is legit. Peyton Kamen has been awesome for them in his return from an injury last year. But 12-3, sorry. Their 3 losses are to Tilton in overtime. That was at the Blackburn, their annual Blackburn Invitational that they host. And then they lost to Vermont Academy and South Kent. It wins over Kimball Union, Bremer, McDuffie, Lawrence. Those are all like solid AA teams. And I don't want to disrespect anyone, but the meter in their schedule is still coming up. Like,
okay,
they have some like, their February schedule is pretty insane. And this is why I've been a little tentative to put them in my top 10. Still, because they don't really have like Blair. Like Blair was a good start. Like, I think that was like an awesome win. And I definitely considered throwing them in my top 10 after that win. But again, just one win. I want to see, like, listen to the schedule that they have. They have NMH on January 29th, which is a few days, depending on when this podcast updates. But and then their February schedule: Williston, Exeter, New Hampton, Cats, Cushing, Tabor.
Man, that's like
if you're paying attention to New England pro basketball, those are like at least. Well, I mean, yeah, I'll count Tabor. Like all 7 of those teams are like legit, like championship caliber teams within their classes. So I think I want to see like how they do against them. I think that will be a great, like, that Exeter game will be a great test for them, and we'll get into Exeter too. New Hampton, Cats and Cushing specifically, because those are their AA. I feel like in AA, that's still kind of the cream of the crop right now is Cats and Cushing, which 1, 2, and in some order. But I don't. I feel bad saying Worcester needs to like prove themselves a little bit, but
no, I think that's reasonable. Yeah,
and they've passed like I mean, you only have the schedule, you only have the teams that are in front of you, right? So, they can only do so much with their schedule. It's not their fault, but I do want to see them play. And they had the St. George's game at Hoophall get canceled because of the snow. I was looking forward to that. I thought that was going to be a good test for them to see where they kind of stand against the upper echelon of AA. But again, they haven't played any of those like top AA teams yet, and I'm like really excited to see how they do. I just want to see it. Basically, is what I'm.
Yeah,
it's the long and short of it.
Are you serious about playing your sport in college? Do you need a flexible education that allows you to maintain your practice and competition schedules while also preparing you to succeed at the next level? You should check out the University of Nebraska High School. UNHS is accredited and offers more than 100 online courses, including NCAA-approved courses to protect your academic eligibility. Students could earn a UNHS diploma or take a single course for transfer credit. Courses are college prep, self-paced, and available 24/7, 365. Enroll anytime and take up to a year to complete a course. Visit highschool.nebraska.edu today.
I'm already getting excited for February. I think February, just prep and MIAA, there are a lot of really, really good matchups coming up for teams that I know for me personally, I have not yet seen, that I kind of preemptively circled these games. It's like, okay, I can save this team because I know they have this good February matchup. So there's a lot of examples like that. But I think, go ahead.
I was going to say I guess we can shift to that. Like, what are your big February matchups that you got circled right now?
Oh God. I should pull up my notes. I
know we got the Noble Sabre rematch.
We do
this week.
Yeah, I do briefly, because I don't think we've talked about that on an episode yet. I'll do kind of a quick recap and then.
Before Hoophall, we had like these some incredible matchups.
Awesome games. Nobles Tabors lived up to the hype. I think I previewed it on our last episode, I believe. So Tabor won that 78-71. Then I got a little confused because Tabor then lost to New Hampton the next day. That's a kind of a separate conversation about how complicated AAA is becoming for me, because a lot of these teams are beating each other and I don't really know what to make of it all. But as far as that one game, yeah, Tabor was in control most of that contest, and it was a home game, so I'll kind of give them that edge. I'm really excited to see this one Wednesday at Nobles, just see if Nobles can kind of strike back in that way. But Tabor looked really good. It was the best Caitlin Carroll game I'd seen all season, and really just because she wasn't needed to do that much in a lot of the other wins that Tabor had. But she had 23 in that game. Just looked really easy making shots, attacking players off the dribble. Nobles, I mean, it was her against Jasmine Cooper a lot of times, which is, I mean, that's fun. Those are the two best prospects in New England girls basketball right now. And so they were going toe to toe. But Carroll looked really good. Ava Black is a gamer. She, again, just like bullies players much stronger than I think people realize physically. Like she can just she was going at some of Noble's smaller defenders that switched on her. She was just abusing them and then hit some tough shots late. I think she had 17 again, but I think that understates her impact. And then to be fair, like Nobles battled back. They were down. I don't know if it got to 20, but at least like kind of the large teens deficit. And then Christina Pham did her thing, just made like a stretch of like 4 or 5 threes between the third and early fourth quarter that brought it back to a game. I think she had 31 in that game. It's just the most ridiculous shot maker I watch. Every time I watch her this year, it's something like a little bit more impressive. And so, yeah, so it was an awesome game. I'm really excited to see this rematch. So that is January 29th. And then getting into February, the MIAA slate is awesome. We will have, I believe my plan is to go to Dartmouth at St. Mary's. Dartmouth has Cad Cheesebro putting up 30 bombs like it's nothing.
Ridiculous stuff, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think she's averaging 29 a game now in her sleep. But Dartmouth also has not been really tested at all this year, outside of a couple of pretty good opponents. So this will be big. And then you got St. Mary's ranked number 3, Bella Owumi doing her thing. So that's going to be a great game. Oh, man. And then I won't list them all, but definitely be excited for the Comcast tournament, which is at Emmanuel College this year. The slate is always amazing, especially on the girls' side, and it is even better this year, it feels like. Bishop Feehan, our number 1 team. Medfield, number 2 team. I'm going to forget some. Woburn is 4 for us now. Wachusett is going to be 8. There are many more. I think Norwood is going to be there. I'm missing a bunch of teams, but it's like a large field, and like right there, you're seeing matchups that you're not going to see in the state playoffs, like potentially Bishop Feehan and Medfield, like that.
Yeah, because you're crossing over divisions, right?
Yeah, so crossing over divisions, crossing over conferences. So this is gonna settle a lot of my like mental battles that I don't think we're gonna see in the state postseason.
So it'll help your top 10 rankings, right?
Yeah, and I really want to see. I've never seen Bishop Feehan and Medfield play, and I really want to see that matchup. So definitely, if you do not have February break plans locked in, that's President's Day weekend. So go.
Where is that tournament?
It's at Emmanuel College this year. Usually it's at Woburn.
Okay. Yeah.
Which has been great, but I think Emmanuel will be really cool too. And just kind of neat that it's a little more in the heart of Boston. So yeah, go to that, but it's going to be so many good games. I have to pick. I've already had to make some tough choices on games that I have not gone to, and it's going to be even harder. I don't know how much you've looked ahead to your schedule, but yeah, do you have any even in like the next week or so?
Yeah, we have some NEBL weekends coming up. Actually, this is like semi breaking news, but they had a reschedule. Well, not reload. We had to relocate the NABL for this coming weekend for February 1st. It was originally supposed to be at the New Balance headquarters, but they kind of got pushed out because there's a big track, like sort of international track meet. And I'm not.
It is New Balance. Fair enough.
I'll save you from my side tangent because I'm a huge track nerd, because I'm actually going to be there on Sunday watching.
Oh, that'll be cool.
With like Noah Lyles and everybody. But the powers that be there said you gotta put it somewhere else. So they're actually going to be at Cats. It's going to be a quadruple header at Cats on Saturday. Newman Cats is the big one, and Cats, I'm just thinking about this. Like Cats kind of got a benefit there, because they're gonna now be on their home floor against Newman.
Yeah, that basically flipped a road game at Newman to a home game. That's
yeah, that's insane. That I just thought of that. Wow. So that's big for Cats. Maybe that's an 11 a.m. game. So I'm excited for that. And then there's Putnam Brewster's prep team, South Kent, New Hampton, Cushing, Bremer. Not the most exciting matchups. I think Cats Newman will be the best of those four. I haven't looked too far ahead. MIAA, I know February 7th is a big night. We have Attleboro Franklin rematch.
Oh yeah.
Franklin obviously taking that first one, 52-37 at Franklin. Franklin is 14-0 now.
Wow.
It's killing everybody.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that rematch. One, they'll be back on Attleboro's own floor. That's obviously good for Attleboro, and they're trying to get a little bounce back. And LaDainian Rodriguez, one of their starting guards, was out for that Franklin game. I'm expecting him to return for that. I think he's been back. I think that was just a 1-game absence. But I think that the playing field will be a little more even for that game. That'll be sneaky big for the Hockomock race. Attleboro remains 1 game back right now in the Kelly Rex division. So obviously if they can win that game, they can tie it up. Same night, Malden Catholic against Catholic Memorial.
Another rematch. Another big rematch.
Huge Catholic conference rematch. Catholic Memorial just beat Malden Catholic to hand Malden Catholic their first loss last week. That was at CM. This game will be at Malden Catholic. So I'm excited for that. Ben Howard for Malden Catholic has, I think, still been out with his injury. He got hurt during football season. He's actually committed to playing college football. I think it's Southern Connecticut, I want to say. Don't quote me on that. He was a double-double machine for them last year in their state championship team. But they haven't really missed him. Yeah, maybe a little bit in that Catholic Memorial game. Could have used another guy inside, but perhaps we'll be back for that game. We'll see. I don't know what his status is right now. So those are the 2 big MIAA games right now that I'm looking forward to.
All right.
NEPSAC, that Exeter Worcester Academy game I'm excited for. I think that's
let's while we're here, tell me a little bit about Exeter. What's going on with them?
I feel like I've buried the lead here. Exeter beat Northfield Mount Herman this past weekend by 30.
That's crazy.
If you haven't seen that result yet. 82-52 at NMH. It was not a home game for Exeter. Obviously, Exeter did beat New Hampton by 21 recently at home, which was a stunner in and of itself a little bit. Just a little bit. So Exeter is now 12-0. I don't know if they're getting the respect that they deserve right now. They have an argument to make that they might be the best team in New England right now with that win over New Hampton. And
I'll join that train. I know it's early. You explained this to me that like there is still more proving that needs to be done. And
I don't know. I'm sort of starting to lean maybe to your side. I don't know. My top 10 is a mess right now. It's just everyone's beating each other.
I'm in the same boat.
I still think that New Hampton game for New Hampton was like a little bit of a one-off dud. I don't want to discredit Exeter, but I also don't want to put too much stock into like that game for New Hampton. Obviously very impressive from Exeter, and they sort of backed it up with that game against NMH, and I think NMH is very good. And I didn't see the tape or I didn't watch the stream or anything, but to beat them by 30 is a statement.
Yeah, that's not a contest.
Yeah, on their home floor, that's just like bullying them. Ryder Frost went off again. I think it's 28 or 29 points. Got to give Luke Soden some love. I know Jay Tilton's been talking him up a lot. He's uncommitted right now in the 25 class, and he's been doing it on both ends. Tilton really wants him to get into a good college. It sounds like he's having a great season. Obviously, the Bedford transfer from Bedford High School. Yeah. So I still, it's tough because I think Exeter has proven themselves over the last couple of years. Like they won the Classic Championship last year. If you factor in the playoffs from last year, they've won 15 straight now, dating back to those the 3 games in the playoffs last year. I'm sold on them. I just don't know if I can put them ahead of like some of the AAA teams that have like kind of proven themselves consistently against like really high level competition. You know what I mean?
No, that's understandable.
And not to discredit wins against NMH and New Hampton. But obviously they're playing a Class A schedule against less talented teams. I don't think that's arguable, but I don't know. I want to see them get invited to the National Prep Championship this year. I think that win against NMH will go a long way. I don't know exactly how the selection process works with that. I know we won't get too into that, but I know some teams have felt like they deserved invitations to the past, and I don't know. It's a hard selection to make.
Yeah.
But if they go, and I'm going to put this out there, and I know the people who follow me from Exeter probably won't love me for putting this out there. Like there's like a remote possibility that they run the table.
Yeah.
If I just quickly run through the remaining schedule, they have Belmont Hill at home, January 29th. I think they should win that. Like all these games, the remaining games, I think they should be favored. If Loomis Chaffee Chaffee's good. That could be a tough one, especially at their place. They have St. Paul's at home. Then this is the 2-game stretch that would be the big test for those, I think, is at Tabor on February 8th. I think Tabor's going to be like really ready to go for that one, especially at home, to kind of prove something. And then the next game for Exeter is at Worcester Academy on February 12th. So if they slip up, I think it would be probably one of those 2 games. But after that, it's Deerfield at home, at Tilton. Tilton's been good. They beat Worcester Academy, actually. Obviously, I think I mentioned on this episode in the Blackburn Invitational. They've been good. At Nobles, and then finishing the regular season against Andover. I think they'll be favored in those games. And then obviously you have the Class A playoffs after that, where I'm really hoping that there's a reschedule, not reschedule, but the matchup that we were hoping for against Wilson. That got canceled, and we've talked about that. I'm hoping that can happen in the championship game. The Exeter people are gonna hate me for putting all these things out there, and maybe in like kind of jinxing things, maybe. But
hey, that's our job, though. It's not on us.
Yeah, I know. I know. I'm gonna get some crap for it, but I think there's like a chance that they run the table, and at that point, I think they would have to be invited to the National Prep Championships, and then we can really see what they're made of. But no, they're legit. They can hang with any team in this region, I think. And the NMH game was shocking to see the score. I had to like confirm it. Not that I didn't believe it, but there was like, okay, like really, was it like this was the score? Are you sure? That's really impressive. So
absolutely, yeah. It's a fun.
So yeah, that Exeter Worcester game, I got circled. I'll definitely be at that. But I haven't looked too far ahead yet. We've been busy with Hoophall and everything. So
yeah, I feel like the last week was really like a week kind of built up to the last week, and then the preceding days after was a lot of almost like a cool down period for us, which I think we needed. And now it's like the ascent to the playoffs for NEPSAC and MIAA and everything. So that's where we're at. I guess I I don't have too much left. I guess I don't want to put you on the spot too much, but if there is like a team or a player, you can do NEPSAC, you can do MIAA, you can do both. That you feel like we haven't gotten to give love to on the podcast yet, that you want to, that you've either seen or
wow, great question.
I know it's kind of general, and I know
do you have one? Do you have one, and I can think while you talk?
Yeah, sure. So let's see. So I'll start with MIAA. Yeah. So the first person I wanted to shout out is Owumi at St. Mary's. This is the most recent MIAA game I got to see with St. Mary's host Cathedral. Absolute like game on drugs. It was crazy. St. Mary's is down 37-19 in the late third quarter, I believe, and they use a 27-6 run to win that game at home. I swear in my 5 years of covering high school girls basketball here, I've never seen St. Mary's lose at home, and I really thought that streak was going to end because they were down 18 points and they won. Bella Owumi hits the dagger 3-pointer. She is, I don't know if enough people kind of realize the leap that she has taken this year, because her numbers are awesome, but they're not like, she's not putting up 30 a game like Ava Orlando is. So shout out her, by the way. She crossed 2,000 points. That's awesome. She's not putting up 30 a game like Ava Orlando or Kat Cheeseborough, but she is a significantly better offensive player than I've ever seen her. She is just a lot more patient, not forcing up bad shots, much more capable shooting the ball than she ever has been. I always thought that was kind of the significant area of growth for her. She's a much better shooter, at least like off the catch and kind of into some pull-up threes than she has been. Very, very smart passer now. And she is able to take over games like she did against Cathedral. And she's only a sophomore. She's already got, Miami, Louisville offers, which is crazy for any prospect in this area, especially an MIAA prospect. Like, that doesn't happen a whole lot recently. So she's doing amazing things, and she's really great about, I talked to her after the game. She's really great about being honest with what she needs to work on and where she struggled in the past and where she's improving. And so she talked a lot about just kind of being a better communicator and leader, and not being like timid in some of those moments with the way she talks to teammates, because this is new for her. And she's like, the maturity and willingness to talk about some of that stuff is really, really cool, especially for her. So she's my player shout out. I'll shout out Braintree as a team for MIAA. I have not gotten to see them yet, but they are rolling right now, 12-1, and I did not expect them to be as good as they are. So good for them. And then I'll kind of go quickly to NEPSAC. Let's see. Teams. The teams have kind of been about the same. I guess HooSac, I have to make these rankings. So in a week span, HooSac beats Tilton, Tilton beats New Hampton, and New Hampton beats HooSac in a span of about 4 days. So like, what do you want me to do?
Craziness. Yeah.
But HooSac has, they kind of keep flying under the radar. I think that's partially my bad. I think I need to give them a little bit more love, because they are right with Tilton and New Hampton, and like maybe Tabor and Nobles as like a team that really actually could win it all in AAA. So they deserve some love. Let's see if there's a player. I might have to think a little bit on like a specific player that I haven't already hyped up enough yet. But yeah, that's some of mine. So yeah, I don't know if that was enough time for you.
No, I thought of a few. And I actually saw him for the first time this season at Hoophall Prep was Landon Clark. Kind of a point forward wing. I don't even know how you describe his position. Does everything for St. Paul's. He had a huge win against Suffield at Hoophall, just dominant. And St. Paul's is like sneaky in the Class A sort of discussion. I think obviously Exeter and Williston are kind of above probably everyone else. But St. Paul's is on a 5-game winning streak. They beat Brewster Prep and not on that streak, which is pretty impressive win. Landon Clark went for 32 and 13 in that game.
Wow.
He does, like I said, does a little bit of everything: playmaking, shooting, pretty good 3-point shooter. Can get to the rim, 6'8", can handle it. he is going to Princeton. I'm excited to see what he can do in the Ivy. There's going to be some fun like New England battles in the Ivy coming up. Obviously, I know Ryan Altman and Jay Jones reuniting at Penn. I'm kind of in Landon at Princeton. Those are all Middlesex Magic guys, so I know Michael Crotty is going to have fun with those matchups.
Yep.
So Landon Clark, I want to shout out. He's been terrific all season. Teshaun Steele at Darrow. Darrow had a really good week last week. They beat St. Thomas More, in large part to Teshaun. I think he had 18 and 8, I want to say. Don't quote me on that. But really impressive defense on London Jemison, St. Thomas More star, who's going to Alabama, as many people know. Really shut him down, is what I was told. And he is not getting maybe the recruitment that he deserves right now. He's definitely a D1 player. He was on those Worcester North championship teams. Just a big body, can defend and can kind of do and can score it offensively. And I think a lot of D1 teams could use a guy like him that can kind of do it all on both ends.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been putting in the work this season. So I want to shout out him. There was one I just thought of as well. Darrow as a whole has been like better than expected this year. Obviously, it's their first year in AAA. I think they're a cut below the New Hamptons and New Hampton and Newman right now, but I think they're gonna create some noise in the playoffs in March.
Yeah.
But I like Darrow, like St. Paul's. MIAA, I don't think I got to the Central Catholic Bowl game that I was at a couple weeks ago. But in a loss, Lowell's backcourt, Sar Paolo Aparicio and Jason Kamau were really impressive to me. I think they've known each other basically their whole lives, were like best friends. Both senior guards, and obviously they were up 10 in that game against Central Catholic before Javi Lopez and those guys kind of poured back at home and got a big win. But Czar and Jason, really dynamic backcourt. Like Czar does everything defensively. I feel like he had like 4 or 5 steals in that game against Central Catholic, breakaway dunks, just really crafty with the ball in his hands, gets to the rim in so many different ways. Jason Kamau is his backcourt mate. Feels like he doesn't really make mistakes. Doesn't really commit turnovers. And he's hard to stay in front of. He's super quick with the ball in his hands.
Wow.
Okay. So if you're gearing for trying to find an MIAA game, go catch a Lowell game, because those guys are really fun to watch. So I want to shout out those guys too.
It's a good one. NBC, as always, we are the biggest NBC hype beast, and they deliver every time. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay,
All
I
right.
think unless any other kind of final thoughts, I think I'm hoping I'll have to send out some emails. I think we're gonna have a guest on next week. We'll see about that. But otherwise, I think we'll periodically be checking in on games we've watched too. And then, I mean, before you know it, like, we got to start some of these playoff preview episodes. That's gonna be like mid to late February. It's coming up way too fast.
Coming up quick, man. It's a fast season.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of basketball, like really good matchups coming up over the next 3-4 weeks. So keep it locked on basketballjournal.com, because we're gonna be at all of them.
Yeah, we are. It's gonna be
as many as we can, and we're gonna have some really good coverage of those games and kind of the stretch run of the season. So
yeah, I know. We've been talking about some of the kind of featurey, larger scale stories that we're both working on, and there are some ideas in the works that I think people are going to be excited about from both of us. But otherwise, I think that's pretty much it. So as Steve kind of said, download the app. We got an app now. I think I probably should promote that more. The app's been awesome. I honestly, not even to like plug it, I really use it more than like mobile Safari for a lot of the articles, to read them back. Follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, follow us individually on those platforms. And yeah, get to basketballjournal.com. But otherwise, that's it for us. So yeah, for Steve Hewitt and Ethan Fuller, as always, thank you again for tuning in with us, and we will see you at a game and see you next time.